I decided I wanted to do this in the politics section, and I was not anticipating to be not trolled necessarily, but raided by some conspiracy theorists is the best way I can describe them. Well, hello, all of you lovely people. It is a wonderful evening to learn about politics while playing Star Wars. I'm gonna be like, put it on my cardigan, because I just sat down. Oh boy. I'm going to be like Mr. Rogers, coming in, have to put on my cardigan in order to make sure that, I'm in character and we're doing all the correct things. Right? Triforce informed me I have to play the camera when I have this scene up, so try. But first of all, for all of you here, welcome to the Big Brain Stream. This is my little experiment that I've been attempting to pull off for the past couple weeks now, and I think it's doing all right. Let me do the spiel for those of you that may be new. This is the Big Brain Stream. This is a chance for me I am a attorney, I am a professor, and I teach classes at a local institution of higher learning where I live, which is related to my background. And the Big Brain Stream is basically I play video games that are loosely related to the topic at hand. And, we try to have fun here. Anywho, we are going to turn off the Spotify. And we are going to play tonight's game is Jedi Fallen Order. And tonight's topic is political ideology in the media. Political ideology, when we say that, it can mean a couple things. Right, so that's one of the topics that we're going to talk about. What do we mean by political ideology? Second, once we kind of define what it is, how do we develop our own political ideology? We're going to talk about, what are the outside factors that play on this ideology? How does it fit into the three power dynamics that we've talked about a couple times now if you've been in prior streams. And then we'll talk about the media. We'll have a brief discussion on the media and its role in political culture and political ideology. Why did I choose Star Wars? Well, because there are aspects of this universe that play very well into the whole concept of political ideology and the media.
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
And we'll talk about them as I get to them, essentially. First, we're going to kind of get moving to the next planet so that we can get started. I want to make sure that I don't hit any weird cutscenes. It's interrupting me as I start to talk about politics and culture and the media and all of that. Insatiable, 1776, I would join the Empire for the free healthcare. As would I, Insatiable, as would I. I would join the Empire for the free healthcare, but then I would fight against it because, again, the healthcare aspect was good. However, even the Republic was fairly progressive. They probably had free healthcare as well. Think about it. They had these giant hospitals run by the Jedi. They developed for the Outer Rim peoples. The Starlight Beacon they installed out in the Outer Rim so that all of them can have free access to healthcare. The Republic did that. So I would just do what I'm told. When the Jedi inevitably come and attack my platoon, I would defect and join them and sell out the Empire to save my kin and then go away in exile. Hey, you know what? You're a man who knows where he stands and what he'd do. Fair enough. At the beginning of this game, there was a guy who gave in to he talked truth to power, and power put a lightsaber through his chest. I don't know if I'd have the balls to do that. Talk a big game online. Talk a big game in the classroom, but not. I don't know. I don't know what would happen if I had a lightsaber pointed at my chest. All right. So here we are on Zepho, this abandoned planet that has now been invaded by the Empire. Right. So first things first, though, we do need to kind of define what do we mean by political ideology. There's a couple theories on what we mean by political ideology. It can be your political leanings. It can be in whether you're sophisticated enough to talk about politics. It can be a couple things, right? But generally speaking, right, we are going to talk tonight about how citizens develop ideas, and what those values are, and how they believe power should be distributed. Where does that knowledge come from? That political knowledge come from? What role does technology such... I'm looking at my notes in my book, by the way. That's why I keep looking down. I'm not perfect. I don't have everything just kind of stored and memorized. What role does technology such as the media play, such as technology, Star Wars, play in the creation of political idea or values? And how do political groups use symbolism to construct citizens' beliefs about power? So, where do we get our political ideology from? Well, our political ideology is... Actually, where we get it from is fairly easy. We get it from a multitude of sources. The same way that we learn anything in our life is the same way that we learn about politics, and the same way that we adopt a culture, and the same way that we adopt any sort of values, even if those values aren't necessarily related to politics. This is called political can't speak tonight. This is called political socialization. Jesus, what is wrong with my tongue? So political socialization, right? It's socializing. It's learning from others, our parents, our peers, our friends. And it's kind of a cyclical thing, because what we learn from our parents affects what kind of friends we seek out, and then how we interact with our friends affects, how we interact with our parents, and so on and so forth. How we interact with our teachers, what teachers we seek out, which ones we attach to. Generally speaking, the way you are socialized politically is the same way that you are socialized in any aspect of your life, right? There is no just one silver bullet that turns somebody, in speaking in America specifically, Republican or Democrat. Ooh, we got little rat creatures gnawing on a stormtrooper. Come on. Hey, there it is. Come on. Yep. There it is. Mr. FPSkra, Napoleon Bonaparte wanted to create an empire, didn't he? That he did. When he created a worldwide empire. Mr. Worldwide. That's what... Oh, jeez. Get my hand, you son of a bitch. But these political socialization mechanisms, right, the way that we are socialized, affects the way that how involved we are politically, and what values we adopt. What would happen with political ideology if the world becomes only one country? Well, here's the thing, Bushido. Yeah, the world can become like a global civilization, right? Where we are one peoples, or one government, one nation. However, we're still individuals, right? And because we're individuals, and because we all interact with each other differently based upon where we grew up, how we were educated, how many resources we had when we grew up, right? Who we interacted with, we're still going to have different political ideologies, right? That's the whole idea of political socialization. Unless you live in some sort of totalitarian state where the government strictly controls everything that you imbibe, it is likely that you are going to have different, however subtly, different values from the person next to you. But it's these mechanisms of political socialization that create those differences. And I would argue that those differences are good. Politics is actually one of those things that everybody's kind of fearful of it. Everybody kind of is like, oh, politics. I'm not supposed to talk about politics. I hate talking about politics. Politics is really interesting because it actually has to do a lot with... oh boy. God damn it.
This is where the fun begins.
Come on. There we go.
Don't fall behind me, bud.
It's enjoyable being a Jedi.
I was about to say that.
The way we determine our political values determine where we think power should go, where we think resources should go, right? Whether or not there should be free healthcare is one of those things. Those values and those judgments take into account, the times that we live in, the culture surrounding us, what major life events happened, during our lifetime. And I'll give you a couple examples. I'm going to give 3 examples of how, the times that we live in affect our values and affect our judgments with regards to power and political resources and all of that. First of all, World War II. World War II is one of those incidents that in the grand scheme of things, you have to kind of look at the world as post-World War II, or pre-World War II and post-World War II. Because even just in a kind of political culture context, come at me, bro. Boom! Now, he should have been cut in half by that, but whatever. Pre-World War II, okay? Anybody who was born prior to World War II existed in this world where it was post-World War I, first of all, but had this kind of viewpoint of the world where you were focused on economic gains, right? Primarily because they had just lived through the Great Depression, right? So the economy was of the utmost importance because they've seen what happens when the economy fails. Growth of the country and growth of... Oh, geez, he missed me. Ha! You suck. Growth of our power, our military might was also important because, again, in World War I, while we went in at the end and we ended up joining the winning side, we lost a lot of people because pre-World War I, we weren't the major superpower that we are today. In addition to that, there was this political expectation that you had a party and you were loyal to that party to the end, right? That party that you always voted, regardless of who kicked him in the face, regardless of who was running. If you were a Republican, you voted for the Republican candidate. Boom! Come on, come at me. I should. So, political growth, party loyalty, those were the values pre-World War II. Post-World War II, however, living through that giant conflict, our economy boomed because of the war, whereas most other major economies shrank or failed. See ya. Just coming at these bros. Ow! Stop it! You're interrupting me. Post-World War II, you're born into this economic boom of, like, American prosperity, a new, American age, if you will. So you're living in this time of prosperity where you don't need to worry about growth. You don't need to worry about the fact that, you need to grow the military or the economy because it's already big and booming. So what do they value? Well, those values change from focusing on economic growth to social ideals, prioritizing the social issues such as general welfare, education, social equality, environmentalism. Civil rights movements started post-World War II. The motivation moved off of party loyalty and moved towards the people who received support were the ones that supported the value systems of the voting public. Second example, you're living in it right now, is the pre-9/11 and post-9/11 world. Pre-9/11, right, the people, these were the post-World War II folks. But post-9/11, you now again have another shift. You have a shift in people who are willing to give up certain rights and certain freedoms in order for safety and protection.
In order to ensure the security and continuing stability.
Right? The Patriot Act was a direct result of that.
The Republic will be reorganized into the first Galactic Empire.
You have people who were willing to join and grow the military even more, right? That again became another sort of prominent ideal.
For a safe and secure society.
And then again, I would argue that there became this sort of polarization in political. God, I keep getting fucking hit by lasers. This polarization in party, and it went back to being party loyalty was above all else, as opposed to being about pursuing the values systems that you adored, right? That came from George Bush Jr., George W. Bush, right? As you're either with us or against us. That was kind of the phrase. Well, now we're gonna do this. Boom. So, and then if you want like a fun example, look at the Star Wars universe, the one that we're in right now. You have the times of the Republic.
Before the dark times. Before the Empire.
Times of the Republic versus the times of the Empire. Now that's the culture, right? The times that you live in. However, what else? Religion, right? Whatever religion you... And religion has changed, and the most popular religion has changed over time. In the U.S., right, religion is almost, even though our government is not religious based, it does seem that our culture very much still has a strong basis in religion, probably due to the fact that, it was the Protestants that came over from England who originally settled this country, and that was kind of the original value system of this country, and it's been troublesome to try to break away from it. When it comes to religion, it does inform our value system, which then, in that cyclical nature, informs what politics and what political ideals do we go towards. Now, look at the 2016 election, 2020 election. That was one of the major voting blocks within both of those elections were white evangelical Christians. They overwhelmingly supported the Republican Party, and they overwhelmingly supported Donald Trump in 2016 to elect him initially, but then again in 2020 to re-elect him. Why that is? I mean, I'm not evangelical Christian. I can guess, primarily because there was this part on behalf of the Republican Party at the time to support those values, specifically with regards to like abortion and women's reproductive rights and all of that. And then if you looked at other religious groups, right, American Jews overwhelmingly supported the Democratic Party, right? So religion absolutely plays a role in political ideology. The ability to comprehend our political environment, right, has to do with our value system, the culture that we grow up in, the media that we imbibe, the political beliefs that make up our political ideology, and then here's the thing, our ability to change our minds, right? Or to be convinced through logical argument. That all plays a role as well. Unfortunately, right now you are seeing a bit of, and if you're alive in 2021, you are seeing a bit of I believe this is locked from the other side. You are seeing a bit of polarization that does result in attaching their political ideology so inherently to their self-identity. If you attack somebody's political viewpoint, they perceive it as an attack upon themselves, when it's not supposed to be, right? Attacking a political viewpoint or an argument for, what is good politics or what is a good distribution of resources isn't an attack on a person, but in today's day and age, it has become so polarizing, is the word that I'm looking for, that some people do attach it to their sense of identity and self-worth. And in those instances, can feel attacked if you attack their viewpoint. Now that gets into this idea of what is called political sophistication, okay? And political sophistication is this idea that political ideology isn't just your value system, but it's also your ability to think critically about those values, those ideals, those methods of distributing power and distributing resources and all that, right? Oh, thank God, lights, because that was getting really annoying. It's so dark. Ooh, I'm gonna get this guy. Boom! That's what ow, fuck! Oh, and I'm dead.
You're not getting out of this.
Oh, wait, you're still alive? Jesus. Jesus! Oh, was that? That was just a whole lot. So, questions. Just a couple questions to kind of ponder, and then I will pontificate upon the responses myself. Do citizens need to be informed about a candidate and the issues in order for a democracy to work? And if they're not, are people being rational and logical about politics? Are they being rational about the decisions they make if they do not, if they aren't informed about the people and the issues that they are voting on? Basically what I'm asking is, so like for instance, we'll take universal healthcare. Do you need to know all of the ins and outs of, you know, universal healthcare before deciding on whether or not you think it's a good idea or not? Or do you just make a rational decision based upon the way you think it's going to affect you? And there are people who come at this from both ends. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. Oh, well, that wasn't what I wanted to do. There we go. I killed it. I killed it.
I killed them. I killed them all.
There are two viewpoints on the subject. One is that people vote only after researching the issues. And I can tell you from experience that that is not the case. But again, is that a bad thing necessarily? Because what if your decision making is based upon, again, your value system and what is advertised to you by those people, right? That was the technique of the Republican Party for the most part in 2016 and 2017. Oh, Jesus, there's a... Oh, geez, this is not good. I'm getting my ass kicked. Oh, I tried to stop it and it didn't work.
Come on, don't let him get you.
Whew, he was going to launch a rocket into my face. Think about it, right? So I know that I am a, attorney with close to, my wife and I have close to $500,000 in debt, student loans. So are we going to vote for instance, student debt relief, regardless of how much it costs? Absolutely, right? Do I support a flat tax? No, I do not. And here's the, now this is actually insatiable. I'm glad you brought that up because, so for instance, I exist in both of these worlds at the same time. The student income debt, right? I am going to vote for whomever, is willing to waive that debt. Well, not anybody, right? I'm not a one-issue voter, but that is going to heavily influence who I vote for. However, at the same time, I do understand that it does have a lot of really beneficial economic repercussions if student debt relief is actually passed. You support the flat tax, right? Now that is an issue that I am against. I am against a flat tax. However, I would probably benefit from a flat tax because I do exist in the socioeconomic status level where a flat tax would probably benefit me. Hey, look at that thing. That's where we're going.
That's got to be one of the Zepho.
But a flat tax I would vote against. Now, that's technically voting against my own interests, right? However, because of my value system, I do believe that a progressive stratified tax system, just like the ones that we have now, is more useful and more beneficial to the greater number of people than a flat tax would be. Yep, there we go. Come on. There we go. Did that. But this gets back at the idea that, all right, our value system, do we educate ourselves on the issues? Do we simply follow... Come on. Do we simply follow, what is our self-interest? Or do we follow what the media tells us? So, the media, right? What is their role in all of this? Well, depending upon your kind of viewpoint on what the distribution of power in a society should be, right? For instance, right? Again, to talk about... Here. Yeah, got this guy. Cool. I had to focus for a second. Where was I going with this? Oh, the media, right? What is their role? Well, it depends upon what your viewpoint of... Go this way. We're going to get a little bit of a rest in. The media, though, their role depends upon your framework of power that you do. Pluralist, are you an elite managerialist, or are you a classist? I guess. You know, the idea. Oh shit! I forgot about this guy. Oh boy! I just had to get at him real quick. Right? Let's go pluralist first. Right? Pluralist, again, the unofficial kind of ideology of America or the United States. The idea is that the power is supposed to be distributed, and one of the institutions that gets a good amount of power in a pluralist society is the media, right? A free and fair and unbiased media, in order to, again, speak truth to power, to investigate corruption, to keep, you know, the functions of government honest, right? But at the same time, they have a lot of power to influence opinion, which goes to the whole idea of the fact that, oh, well, the media is biased. Well, first of all, right, unless they are a truly public institution, and even those somewhat still a little bit are affected by this, every reporter has his own inherent biases, right? Because they all have their own inherent value system. So regardless of whatever they're reporting, it's how they report it is likely going to be affected by their own value system. And then news outlets themselves, we're going to do this. Oh, I didn't rest. They receive sponsorship. So of course, they're going to have to consider profit margins a little bit when choosing stories. In that sense, there is a little bit of a bias. Is it the bias that, like, oh, well, you know, the media lies and actively... No.
Oh. No.
Are certain media outlets worse than others? Yes. Absolutely. Are they all shit?
Nope.
Again, there are... This is why before we were talking about you need to have multiple media sources. When you start seeing similar, you're going to freeze, and now I'm going to come to you, and I'm going to do this, and then do this. Boom. Yeah.
You're not getting out of here alive, Jedi.
Oh, stop it. Force meter is empty. Not anymore. I hit him. Where was it? What was it? I can't even remember what topic I was on because I got distracted. Media bias charts. So, media bias charts are actually a really good, useful tool. And even then, you kind of have to compare multiple charts. In order to ensure that you are receiving the most factual information. Now, some media outlets stick to, like, just the facts. AP News, NPR, Reuters, right? All of the kind of big, dry media outlets. The ones that don't have 24-hour news cycles. But with the media, though, right? A pluralist society says that, you know, they have the power. And they can... Oh, I don't know if I was supposed to go that way. But, okay, that's good. That's good. This is good. Oh, shit. And then there's this thing. Oh, good. It's funny. So the media has a say, right? They can sway people. And there are media outlets who do actively use their platforms to sway people. And there is this... And that's where you get into the elite managerial theory, right? Where the elite managerial says that the media is going to use... Is this going to bring up lights, please? The elite managerial theory says that the media will use its authority and power in order to influence the populace. I wasn't going to say it, Troy, but thank you for bringing it up. Yes, Fox News is one of the biggest offenders, one of the big mainstream offenders, right? They will choose a side and actively pursue that side. And now within Fox News itself, there are individual reporters of varying degrees of reliability, right? There are some reporters within Fox News who are damn good reporters. They're just conservative and everything has a bit of a conservative slant. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But then you have the Tucker Carlsons and the Sean Hannitys of the world, who everything they say is... I shouldn't say everything they say, but they do spout a good amount of bullshit and a good amount of nonsense. And that's where the elite managerial status comes in, right? And it's the job of the elite managers, right? Those powerful people influence their value system so that the powerful fuck you, to keep the powerful rich, right? So it instills value systems like pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. And, you know, it's the you get rich when the corporations get rich, and if trickle-down economics, because the job creators need the tax cuts, and we will pass the money on to you. In 50 years, that has not worked, right? So there is this idea, convincing the masses ensures power for the powerful. That's exactly it, Triforce. Thank you. You've been listening this whole time. Class theory says the same thing, except it does it to an even greater extent, that it starts cultures about the workplace and about labor, right? Convince the workers, the proletariat, that what they make isn't theirs, right? Ownership is in the few and not the many, right? Ownership is in the owners, and not in the makers or the crafters, right? The creators. The creators don't own anything. It's the Jeff Bezos of the world that own everything. And also, the class theory says that, you know, the media has convinced us that, well, we idolize these billionaires and these corporate people because, you know, they worked hard to get there, right? And they still work hard. Otherwise, they wouldn't have all that money. Jeff Bezos himself has said, and I love hating on Bezos, Jeff Bezos himself said that all of his work is done by noon. He makes about 3 decisions a day, and then that's it. That's it. That's all he does. He makes 3 decisions by noon, and then he's done for the rest of the day. He runs a multi-billion-dollar corporation. That's nonsense, is what that is. But that's what the class and elite managerialist theories say, and it was the job of the media to convince us that that is okay, that is proper, that's the way society is supposed to be, right? Because you're either with us or against us. I ain't no communist. I don't need no handouts. I'm an American. I'm going to pull myself up by my own bootstraps. That's what the media has done. However, is it on the media or is it on the populace? Is it on us that we didn't see through the lies and the bullshit and the nonsense? Well, that's for you to decide. And I think that's where we're going to end today. So, political ideology, the media, culture, values, all of that. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. If, however, you like what you see, please, you know, toss a follow. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. I'm not a capitalist here, but if you do really like what you see, I mean, toss a subscribe too. It's not going to hurt. Well, it may hurt you financially, but it will benefit me. Follows are free. Subscribes are free on YouTube. But the more followers, the more viewers, the more chatters I get, the more I can do with this, the better the streams are, and thus the more I can do with this. So, thank you for joining the Big Brain stream. I look forward to seeing you next week, Monday at 10 on twitch.tv/FPSkra. Toss a follow, toss a like, toss a subscribe, comment, tell me what you want to hear me talk about, tell me what you want to see me play, and I will see you next time.